Parliament at 23. It's the only place I've worked. And my dad kept reminding me I would be unemployable after Parliament. And I think he's right. And I saw these laws passing. As a student activist, we were advocating for the return of multipartism and removing Article 269, I think, then from the Constitution, which was restricting activities of political parties. We saw the referendum to return the political parties, the first one aborted, I think in 2006, 2001, then it succeeded in 2005. Yeah. And before that, I was in an individual merit parliament. We used to be with, there was the freedom among MPs. I went up to the fundraising of Honorable Dorabia Mokama in the West. I went to another fundraising in a school in Kitwamba in Kasese. We felt like a community. You would crisscross and go to the function of any MP without attachments. Now, even the parliamentary canteen collapsed immediately. Multipartism returned, because if you are taking your beer, you should now know that the next NRM or the next opposition is close to you. We used to drink there those days. I was not yet a teetotaler. Everyone was there. Tafire, Kazora, the late, rest in peace. It was a center of consensus. We were like a family. Actually, in one of the meetings, we even proposed Honorable Dombo's name to lead a new group of leaders that should ensure President Museven exits power peacefully. I did not tell you that I was going to inform you. I hope I will not cause you problems. We had actually fronted him as one of the clear-headed former guild president and politician coming from eastern Uganda to prepare him for presidency around 2016. We formed PAFO, Parliamentary Advocacy Forum. So that spirit of love and togetherness has disappeared with multipartism. This experiment of multipartism is not working. The level of repression by the state, even before you talk of national dialogue, which I support. There are people who have lost family members. There are people in prison who have not been tried since 2021. Forget about this recent one of 2026. There is a video of the elections of 2021 when President Museveni's convoy was passing. Those days, the National Unity people would chant. They shot and killed 2 people in the convoy. People have been killed. We have so many political prisoners. Now, honestly speaking, if you are Mofumbiro, they call him Honorable Mofumbiro, you are in prison, your wife died, you cannot come and bury. And then you are saying national dialogue. So the political repression is radicalizing people. People are bitter. The other day, there is a lady opposite my home in Ndeje. I will not mention her name. She told me there were people taking pictures of my house, taking screenshots. I was away. She told me after 2 days. I said, why didn't you call me to tell me? She said, these days, they may be tracking your phone and they will take me to the basement just for calling me to inform me that there is a stranger
taking photos of your
taking
house.
Photos. So you're going to have, in fact, the political word is now, the repression has brought self-censorship. People have decided to keep quiet and behave like a tortoise and put their head back into the shell. So the censorship is becoming individual.
There is an argument, Honorable Dongota, that says this is political contestation. You contested in 2021, you lost the election. Settle back, organize your party, plan, mobilize to contest again after 5 years. If you contest after those 5 years, you're not successful, wait for another 5 years. But the ruling party and the state will say, you are not giving us space to govern with the mandate that we have received.
Yeah.
And the actions being taken are being taken precisely because you haven't given us the space. You are thinking alternative.
The better question would be, are we for a politics of winner takes all? That because Bobi Wine has lost, Besigye has lost, Udongato had lost, we want nothing from them other than paying their taxes.
Isn't that the constitution that we are governed under? Isn't it a winner takes it all, winner take all constitution?
That is a very bad concept, and that is what is bringing division. I had challenged.
Is it a bad concept? Is it a bad constitution?
Actually, the winner takes all. You know, there was a former president of US in the 1600s. He said, majoritarianism is wrong. The fact that you are a majority does not in any way mean you are right. I can be alone, but I am right. You can be 1,000 and wrong. So I think the winner takes all system is bad. We need to have Honorable Dombo. We need to have a fairly exclusive government. I challenge President Museveni. Why can't you appoint Bobi Wine Minister for Foreign Affairs and let him decline? And it will heal Ugandans.
And President Museveni will give you an answer and say, I appointed Beatrice Anywa before she belonged to NRM. I appointed Betty Kamya. Yes, I appointed Betty Kamya. I appointed Norbert Mao, who is the leader of an opposition political party. He will tell you, I appointed Betty Amonge. I have appointed many from the opposition. They're in my cabinet. I appointed Henry Tumukunde, who contested against me.
Mangusha, you see, President Museveni, to appoint you, you first have to convert from blue or to be yellow. We want you to appoint people and they maintain their distinctiveness. Being a guerrilla fighter, he believes in loyalty. Loyalty is the first password. So I would challenge government. This is the time that you even need, like Yusuf Sibambi, Bobi Wine, you need to crisscross and get opposition figures. Mwiru Paul, I would not have a problem with.
Do you really believe that Bobi Wine would accept an appointment into M7 government after losing to him in the last election and the previous one?
Now that one you need to ask him. But what I'm trying to say, the country needs to heal.
You're making the proposal.
Yeah, but people are very bitter. We have been completely excluded.
We
have been completely excluded.
You and Emmanuel Dombo spent 20 years in Parliament.
Yeah.
You never proposed to move away from the winner-take-all arrangement among the constitutional amendments, and we've had many.
Yeah, and that is the biggest challenge we did as a country. Because, Dombo, you remember when President Museveni was campaigning for multipartyism, his philosophy was that let us release the opposition from the house and they get out of here.
You are attributing that to the whole country. I am asking you the question as someone who served in Parliament for 20 years. You never saw it then?
No, we did not know that this multipartyism would fail. It has now failed. The other time I told you I was heading to Brussels. My car got a mechanical problem in front of CMI. It is now a hotel owned by Sudi. So I parked in front of CMI. They detained my car for 8 hours that they're doing intelligence, counterintelligence. Why an opposition member of parliament, his car of all places should stop here. So even the state actors, the security agencies, don't understand being an opposition. They think we are an enemy of the state. They think Mwiru Paul is Joseph Kony, is Al-Shabaab, is Jamil Mukulu. So if Mwiru Paul is Joseph Kony, why do you pay him salary? Why do you pay him salary?
Would you account for yourself as a political actor? As somebody who served in Parliament?
Yeah.
Yes, the security agencies might do their work the way they do it, but you, as political actors, and allow me to introduce the Honorable Paul Mwiru. Honorable Paul Mwiru, very nice to have you on the front line tonight.
Thank you.
You wanted to say hello to your viewers.
Returning from Masaka, with the Thanksgiving of Honorable Javila, Lugoa Sevina, and the jam held me up. But I'm glad to be here.
Very nice.
With my colleagues, Honorable Dongauto and Honorable Emmanuel Dombo. I have something special with Honorable Dongauto. Yes. We share the history, yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll come back to that. Honorable Dongauto, I do not have security people here. They can account for whatever they do. Whether it is in the protection of the state or the protection of the government in power or the administration in power. That's a different discussion. I am asking you, as political actors, you said you entered Parliament at 23. You left Parliament at 43?
Yeah.
43. 20 years later. You need to be able to account for that time and say, I was able to see, as a young man, that this is the direction we're going, and these are the measures I took to try and make sure we don't end up in deterioration.
No.
And I would challenge Honorable Emmanuel Dombo the same. You said there's been a deterioration, and that deterioration has been under your watch.
But
when you are an active,
but even before Dombo comes in, I think we all thought when multi-parties come and we give political parties funding, they would have rallies and would compete for power. But
many people, you in the National Unity Platform, you have now indicated you're ready, you've written formally to join the inter-party dialogue, the party organization dialogue, IPOD. You've said now you'll join. For the last 5 years, you insisted you're not going to join IPOD for whatever reasons that you had. The bigger question is, from where you sit, do you think a national dialogue is the solution to our political question today, less than just about a year after the last election?
Well, first, you see, you mix a number of things. Of course, the background is that we are conscripted into joining, because when you have a right to associate, you have a right to disassociate. Before the amendment to the Political Parties and Other Organizations Act, it was optional for one to join, but of course they knew that our activities had been largely funded by resources from government based on the numerical strength, as Honorable Dongoto said earlier. Those who are acting in bad faith, violating the rules of legislation, that they came up with a law which was targeting a national unity platform, they had actually to do that. That's why, because of the conscription by law, the rest was incidental. That if you wanted to survive as a political organization, the prudent thing for you to do was to do what is there, but we challenged even that law in their court. And the constitutional petitions by law are supposed to get the urgency they're supposed to get, but they sat on that, on the law as is. To me, I think the question of dialogue, we even simplified it. We say that, you see, if there's dialogue, we have no problem. But the issue has been that actually, who is the guarantor that whatever we talk about will actually give effect? But also, three, the conduct. When you read our constitution, it has a preamble. It talks about our history, where we have come from. When you refer to what you call an election, which was just concluded, of course you know what happened. It is still vivid in your mind. But even if I were to start from what we've just concluded, they will say elections. You know what happened. Actually, this was my first time to see that actually police was interested in influencing who becomes an LC, one chairperson of an area. We raised these things. People petitioned, actually, even in, I'll give an example, like in Jinja at Iganga Road. They came and they counted half the line of an opposition person, then they moved on NRM, then they declared. A petition was raised in several places. Even in some other places, they would even have declared that Dombo has won. He has got 200 votes, Otto 80. But we are going to give the results at the sub county. As you reach there, then they would say Otto has won. They swap the result. All these issues were raised. Then they said, no, now that you are patient, the commission wait for the result. They announced another day, an election at LC2. So the question is lingering in our mind. You have not resolved LC1. But the electoral college for LC2, that those who have been in LC1. Even we don't even get small things. For instance, you see, President Museven went to the bush and the group, not that because there were no hospitals or there were no schools, there were governance issues. So for me, in my view, by the way, like this dialogue you're talking about, and maybe downplaying the issues as they obtain today. We talk to many people across the board, and they all know the civic space is disappearing, the human rights violations at the peak, the abductions. And when we have been raising issues to do with these abductions, and these colleagues come on the floor and they say, okay, we are going to check whether we have Amos Rangomani, even after court had issued the writ of habeas corpus. Then tomorrow they rush and charge him in the court martial. Then they release that one. Then you say, Mwanga Chivumbi. They say, okay, the Prime Minister undertakes. We shall check. Then they say, yeah, they have produced him after 19 days. All these are just irregularities. Then the other day I was sarcastically thanking them for even after contrary to Article 23, holding people incommunicado. They later produced them and say, okay, you also bring Sam Mugumya. They were busy undertaking that we are going to check, and then who shall bring? Actually, the framers of the Constitution made the whole chapter on human rights, and they put the duty on everybody. But even the other point I'm making, that now we have reached a level that even you talk about dialogue, now dialoguing with who? Because now...
So let me flip the question, Honorable Muiru. The route through elections has not been successful. You've participated in those elections. And you're describing them the way you are, including LC1 elections, the local council elections, LC1, LC2. The route through dialogue, from what you're saying, seems a non-starter. So, what's the way forward?
Actually, to start with, first, you continue to call them elections. Of course, you know that even, you know how our candidate was treated, Honorable Chagwanya was treated. But I think there's still some pretense that maybe that's how they have to treat presidential candidates. Even the results. Why we insisted on even declaring results and publishing them in the Gazette the way the law provides is that we actually even still have the other forms. Like for me, I even went an extra mile of having a printout from the district of the results of the presidential and mine. And what we are gathering that actually from that percentage they created of 71, it can be substantiated. Up to today, we have never seen the results. But the lists are still very comfortable to say, there was an election. Someone was declared with 71%. If you won, it is fine. Bring out the result. Now I want to show you that to us...
Ken Mitanyo is watching us and he says, personally, I'm of the opinion that Honorable Bala must be applauded and supported instead of the negative energy from some quarters. All corrupt tendencies must be fought at all costs, and wherever it's found, my man Atenyi Songambere. As citizens, we're tired of corrupt people. Can we discuss the how later and handle the what now? That's Ken Motenyo. William Mobiru from Nabingo says, Odonga Oto, stop being dramatic. How can you propose that President Museven should appoint Bobi Wine as, he says, Minister for Foreign Affairs, but you talked about him as being Vice President or whatever. He says you're being dramatic about that. My friend, let me see, this is Ario Medax watching from Montungamo. Thank you for watching. And I have Timothy Bala Ruhweza also watching us from, this one is in Ruengaju in Kabarole district. I have, we'll pick some of these up at some point. But let's step for a moment with Balaam's crusade. And I want to pick it from you. The opposition chairs accountability committees of parliament. You've written reports upon reports. Corruption only seems to keep growing. Do you think the Balaam approach will work finally? What needs to be done better?
Well, thank you. I think what Honorable Balaam is faced with, there are the two things the people have said messages I've referred to, the legal test and the sustainability. But before I go to that, I want to just, for the benefit of the viewers, to know that Parliament has made a resolution on corruption. The Auditor General has investigated the corruption cases, made the reports to Parliament. For those reports which Parliament has dealt with, and given recommended Parliament passed resolutions for the executive to act on. They have only issued 30% of the Treasury memoranda. Action is taken on the corrupt. That's to start with, meaning that there's no will basing on that evidence alone. Because the question will be asked when Balaam does that, what's the end results? Because when Auditor General makes a report, Parliament interrogates and makes a recommendation, Parliament adopts the resolution. The law requires that the Minister of the government must issue action taken, which is a Treasury memoranda, and Dr. General must audit the Treasury memoranda to see whether the action taken were in line with the recommendation. That's one. But also two, and most important, you see, it's not that we don't want Malam. Now, like for me, for my case, like I would say for the benefit of the many supporters that I wish him well, people need to understand two things. The last financial year, we read the budget of 72 trillion. The local government got around 6.4 trillion. They got development, local government, got 740 billion. Recurrent, which is salary and allowances, got around 5.4. Meaning that now Balam is set, because Balam is not investigating the salary and allowances per se, other than where people did not, but is looking at largely at the 740 billion, which was for development. That's what the big question was, that now, okay, assuming all now the government effort, all the agents of government have been put under Honorable Baramu to follow the 740 billion. So who is following? The other 60-something...
Isn't that the challenge he just threw to all of us?
60-something trillion. Of course, there's no will to fall up there. Because Dr. General, because the point we are trying to make, that, okay, maybe the way Balaam is operating, is it the time to review the law? Because why would the corrupt be actually protected when they're doing all those type of things? The nature of the law, maybe the discussion must actually start. Because you see the sustainability of what we are saying, like I saw Honorable Balaam trying to do a value for money audit. Saying this toilet, when I look at it, I've looked at the BOQ, it's 90. From my assessment as Engineer Baram, I'm giving this. Where is the balance? You understand? Of course, you see, like in a government project, maybe what you don't know, that at every point, those big projects, the government projects normally have consultants. And those consultants issue certificates.
Isn't it that bureaucratic approach to dealing with corruption? What people have called that the Auditor General, what he does is post-mortem. The money has already gone, recovery becomes a problem because it's a post-mortem. It's coming after. And what Balaam is doing is...
also post-mortem, because also following... Actually, you see, we used to have the pre-audits versus post-audits, like when money is going to be spent. Of course, they tend to say they're going through the system to show that there is no problem. But when it comes to the actual work being done, Dr. Jen has been doing the value for money audits, try to look and find out what someone is doing. But you see, why to some extent, what Ombalam is doing, what we have been fighting for. When we were in the 9th and 10th Parliament, I kept on raising my voice over the market, the central market. Then you see that they don't allow even an area MP to go and visit. They were saying, no, the contractor doesn't want anybody to enter the site. But people kept on telling us, these people have adjusted the size of the stalls from the BOQ. Two, they are building lesser floor on the central market.
In Fort Porto, that's what happened. No, so, in Fort Porto, they are two.
No, even me. Actually, I kept on...
a complete floor
I kept on raising it on the floor. Then I said, but are you an engineer? People kept on questioning me. But at the end of the project, they added of the market lesser floor, and they were telling me the prices went up.
What's your suggestion on how to deal with corruption? What are you saying should be done? Because everything you're talking about has been done, has been attempted.
Yes.
You have a multiplicity of agencies supposed to be fighting corruption. It's not...
actually, to me,
yes. It's not
again, people have been, out of my experience, what we need to deal with is maladministration. Because you realize that there are many agencies trying to fight corruption, but they are covering more the truth than how they would be revealing it. That alone also creates the problem. Because like what Mbalam has been telling you, you go somewhere, people have the information, but you have a PISO, a parish intelligence officer, you have a GISO, you have DISO, you have RISO, you have CISO, you have the structure is there. You have the economic monitoring. You have everything, meaning that once corruption was adopted as an ideology of NRM, you understand that if you die with corruption, then the system would collapse.
So is the NRM
that's
in this
why
case,
that's what the president said, that does not support lifestyle audit. Because at the end of the day, these people steal money.
Are you suggesting, therefore, that through what Balam is doing, the NRM is abandoning its ideology?
Actually, them is about its ideology, because what Bono Balam is doing is actually evidence that actually the government is under free fall. Everything has collapsed. You understand? And as to whether, that's why I asked you that, okay, if what is doing is what is going to fight corruption and is fighting for the 740 billion, why don't we see this through every sector of government where
you've seen it with is? You've seen it with Fred Byamukama.
Yeah, Fred Byamukama, I want to give him credit because he has moved, he has put his foot down. So we want to see this all through the government. Actually, the difference between now the power, actually even now what Baram is doing and any other, the now Baram is a fully-fledged team now, which is moving with. Maybe what the president can do, he can appoint him IGG. Yes, society is empowered. We also create accountability in Uganda the way they have done. Actually, in other countries like Kenya now, they have merged the accountability sector. That's why you see, like if you go to South Africa, they call the public defender. When you go to Kenya, they say accountability Kenya. The entire sector has been merged, the mandate properly reviewed, and then we streamline. This is what we must do. Then the question of theft versus the law. I'm among those who think that the debate must start. Because you meet someone, there's nothing someone has done. For instance, we've been moving on these roads. You find the road, they said they paid the contractor 100%. So, but the man hasn't done the work. Then they said, but you see, the consultant issued a certificate. Then they question you, but are you an engineer? So, but the work is not done. I am on site. You understand? Then at the end of the day, after that, this man is innocent. You understand? Until he pleads or is proven guilty. So you need to follow the procedure. The contractor is
innocent. The one who issued him a certificate should be the one held accountable.
Actually, at that point, they also say, but are you an engineer to know that the road wasn't properly done? But I think for me...
That's a discussion that happened 20, how many years ago? During the Valley Dams of Karamoja? How many years ago?
They said that you are standing on the Valley Dams and they were not seeing them. But for me, the discussion must start. What Baram actually has done, it's what we have been doing and complaining.
I'll put this question to Emmanuel Dombo, but after a very short commercial break. It's from Felix Muhanguze, who is in Chitagata Shema, who says, let the minister tell the country why he is harsh on civil servants, but seems unbothered on political leaders who are mentioned to have participated in the scandals. And he did mention a district chairman who has been receiving money on his account and a cut from projects, and also talking about sale of jobs. But you'll speak to the role of political leaders, current and former, who have been aiding or participating in this corruption. After a very short break, we'll be right back.
NBS Frontline.
You're still watching The Frontline on NBS TV, and tonight we have the Honorable Paul Mwiru, we have the Honorable Emmanuel Lumala Dombo, and we have the Honorable Odonga Oto, and we're discussing corruption. We're also discussing, yes, the Balam decrees and edicts and his sweeping activities across the country in the fight, in this crusade against corruption. Honorable Dombo, I just put a question to you. Someone is asking, you're dealing with technocrats. In Mitoma, Balam was putting the district education officer on the spot over some head teachers who collected money, I think 200,000 from pupils to register them at a different center. and the DO didn't have an idea what was going on. He seemed to be reading from some dossier, which only him was privy to. But someone is questioning and saying, where are you leaving the political leaders? Because these technocrats are not doing this alone.
Patrick, Charles, when you look at what is happening during the Balam tours, and you see it is now 11 p.m., and you see the nature of rallies that the population are willing to come without being provided any incentives. But when their only hope is that perhaps somebody is going to save them from the corrupt officials, it shows you that there is something that is not going on properly in this nature of governance that we are providing in Uganda. Because almost at every level, at village level, we have a chairperson. At sub-county level, we have a sub-county chairperson and a Gombola chief. We even have parish chiefs. At the district level, we have elected leaders. And President Museven has repeatedly said that the reason he left, he was not excited about chiefs. He knew that the people are going to elect their leaders who are going to represent them. But how is all this happening when we have elected leaders in those respective areas and they either don't know what is happening or they are part of the conspiracy that is taking place? This is something that must be inquired into. Really, do the elections matter? In those elections, where you go to members of parliament, they shout and say, elect me. Where you get chairpersons LC5, and the only thing they are going to do is to sell the jobs. That is going to happen. In answering that question, I'll give an example of what happened in Butaleja. In my district, government posted an assistant RDC called Nambiro. Nambiro comes to Butaleja and he inquires into how the fees were being levied in primary schools. Him having been a primary teacher. And he went and got statistics and the circulars from government, from UNEB and the Ministry of Education, what government is paying for, and he goes to interrogate the district leaders and the teachers why they were collecting money from the pupils when the government had already paid for the same fees to UNEB. The district council convened and they made a resolution that this man should be transferred. And indeed, he was transferred. I tried to come to the president's office to talk to Mr. Kakande. He had been convinced that actually this man is the one who is corrupt and not doing his work. I tried to plead, and the impression is that I was interfering. So there is a very huge conspiracy against the population by the so elected leaders. Balgahare, the politicians' role and access to money is very limited. It's like the ministries. Where would the minister sign for money? You have seen in parliament, we have the speaker and we have other technical leaders in parliament. But the technical leaders have been charged in course of law. But for the speaker, they are still making an inquisition. Because the speaker is not a signatory. He is not anywhere involved in money directly. Unless there is a specific accusation where somebody will say politician has done such and such a thing. Like in Mitoma, where somebody was accused of depositing money on his account, then there would be evidence. Because that is very important.
I think I was talking about, I think that is in Zimbabwe.
What's Zimbabwe? There must be evidence, because politicians naturally, it is eyes on and hands off, because you're not directly involved in signing the money.
Honorable Dombo, there's been an argument that the push for political office through elections and the desire to keep political office is what has led to all this compromise. Forget the chiefs who are technical. Think you rely on elected leaders, and the elected leaders are looking at the next election, so they will never mind about, they will facilitate, actually.
Not only that,
corruption.
in many districts and many areas, you'll find the technical officers facilitating the election of the next leaders. And once a chairperson LC5, for instance, has been elected with the support of a cow, of the technical officers in the ministry, the likelihood of the chairperson and his team looking at what is happening is not likely to be there. Like I was giving the example of my district, where an assistant RDC was hounded out of the district, and when he went to Mbali district, he tried to do the same when he was transferred. The entire leadership of Mbali region ganged against this young man when he raised the issues of corruption in schools. There is a possibility that some of these areas, the elected leaders themselves, are either compromised or are continuous beneficiaries of the corruption that is taking place in the respective areas. So as a government, as a country, not government, as a country, we need to reflect our type of politics. Is it serving the purpose which it is intended? Because even in situations where we have...
Is that a conversation you're having at the Secretariat? Is that a conversation you're having within the caucus of the NRM in Parliament? Is that a conversation you're having in the Central Executive Committee?
Recently, the NRM caucus sat, and you saw the number of resolutions that were passed when it sat in Mnyonyo. And those are the issues: supporting government programs and priorities, fighting against corruption, ensuring that there is a commitment to ensure that there must be robust accountability for people to do their work. But Honorable To, you'll believe that at the time we were in Parliament, how would a member of Parliament be convinced that he would try to negotiate with an agency of government that we budget and give an agency more money so that we can follow up the money to go and sign for it? There have been accusations of members of Parliament of doing underhand things that were unheard of at the time we were in Parliament. Many PSs have been raising issues. When you look at the quality of loans being passed by Parliament, go and ask, is Parliament fulfilling the duty that they were required when it was put in the Constitution that government can only borrow money with the approval of Parliament? You go and look at the quality of loans and see whether the members of Parliament, when they go to the hotels to scrutinize the loans, whether they pay attention to what the loan is going to do, the cost of the loans, and any other issues that will prevent many MPs.
Honorable Dombo, to be fair to Ugandans watching you, especially the younger ones, should you be asking questions? Shouldn't you be telling us what has gone wrong?
No, people are just corrupt.
What has driven
People
them?
are thieves. People have just become corrupt.
How did we get here?
People have progressively become corrupt. Even the institutions of government. We have the Auditor General's office. Just ask yourself, how would what happened in Parliament happen when we have an Auditor General who is making a follow-up of what is happening in Parliament?
Let me move
Because
this.
there was a collapse. There is malaise in all the institutions of government, including the anti-corruption agencies themselves that are supposed to fight against corruption.
Thank you. Let me bring this to Odonga Oto as we move. Let me first take a message from Bahati Fred, who's watching us. He says, thank you so much. I strongly support my brother Balam. I'm writing a proposal to the President and to the Speaker of Parliament to amend the law in relation to academic qualifications from Chairman LC1, LC2, LC3, Councillor at the sub-county, Councillors to LC5, to the district. Chairman to Parliament should be bachelor's degree, and the starting salary for LC1 should be 500,000. This proposal intends to achieve some of the following. Is the elites, the educated ones are, is there a line?
And Charles, let me tell you, when you look at the loans that government has been borrowing, and you hear what is happening in these local governments, you begin wondering, do we really need to borrow money in order to service the programs of government?
Let's throw that
The money that we have would be able to suffice.
Odonga, you answer that question.
You see, during the LRA, they had war, they had few guns. At times they are confronting a mighty UPDF. The UPDF would have like 600 AK-47s. So because the rebels may have like 20 guns, so what they would do, they would abduct young people who would be hitting saucepans together with the guns. Hey, arrested! So that they sound many. Yet some are carrying saucepans, yet minority have guns. I see what Balaam is doing is the same to that. He's bringing up, the word is euphoria. He's doing a good thing. He's bringing back euphoria. He's bringing back hope to Ugandans that corruption can be fought. But I want to say, the DPP has failed Ugandans. The CID have failed Ugandans. The police, you have failed Ugandans. The Inspectorate of Government, you have failed Ugandans. Human Rights Commission, you have failed Ugandans. The story does not end there. What Balaam is doing is what Honorable Miru Paul should be doing. Where is the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament? Where is the Local Government Accounts Committee of Parliament? Where is the Government Assurance Committee of Parliament?
Where are the members of
Where
Parliament?
is the COSASE Committees of Parliament? What Balaam is doing is what the British designed Uganda to do. That is why all the accountability committees are left to the opposition members of Parliament, so that you squeeze government and show that government is rotten. Now, if you hear the speech of Honorable Balaam Atene, now you may think he's the leader of opposition in Parliament. Everything is absolutely rotten. Now, what Balaam is doing is just making money for the CID and police, because his approach is very rowdy. Arrest this one, record a statement. The moment he leaves, they will start saying, how much can you give? The same detective, the same investigators, the same IGG, they will say, what is the charge on this man? 200 million. Let him first bring 50 if he wants bail.
I saw him order cancellation of bond, police bond on someone.
It's just, it's just bringing business for those state actors. So what I think, this decentralization has decentralized corruption. We need to revisit the whole philosophy of decentralization.
Absolutely.
Because, ask yourself, we have made you to have your government in Pade. You elect your LC5. You elect the LC,
The Service Commission.
District Service Commission. You have the PAC. You have the Local Government Accounts Committee in the local council. But there is still theft. For example, my home district, Pade. The former chairman, LC5, bought a TV screen, 18-inch. It is at 17 million. The TV, I can even buy at 800,000. Now, when Balaam was going to Pade, they organized to welcome him.
18-inch or 8?
This size here,
The small one.
The small one.
32-inch.
32-inch, which is 800,000. It is in the office of the LC5 chairman. It is bought at, 16 million shillings. Now, when Balaam is going to Pade, they organized people to welcome him. He was just enjoying traditional dancers. He left the whole district without even going to say who procured this. And you'll find that the political leaders influence the civil servants to approve certain figures, and then they give the money back to them. So maybe we need to centralize recruitment of all civil servants. We may have to abandon the idea of local staffs, because some local governments, for example, one in Lira, it is only relative friends and in-law.
That get
Strictly,
recruited.
you don't give 5 million shillings, you don't get the job. So people are recruiting only their relatives. So the whole local government needs to be revisited. We may have to get back to Parliament. We need to centralize recruitment of all civil servants at local government level, and then we transfer them. We move the one from Butaleja, take to Jinja. We remove from Jinja, we take to Pade. But otherwise...
Isn't that already happening in respect of chief administrative officers?
Yeah, but
the recruitment is controlled at the center.
Actually, I am very happy when the Ministry of Local Government issued directive that they will be procuring everything from the center, including stationaries and pens, because the level of corruption down there is...
Wouldn't you decentralize corruption then? Or is that assuming that corruption is only limited to the local governments?
But as of now...
What is talking about the 740 billion, but we're not looking at the corruption at the 60-something billion. Because if you also interrogate it, trillion.
You raise the argument. Local government is only responsible for 6 trillion. Out of that 6 trillion, 5 trillion is recurrent expenditure.
Salaries
and allowances.
740 billion.
Development budget.
740 billion.
740 billion.
You see, Balaam is just a workaholic. But this is just local government. We don't have to touch all other ministries. Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have a whole ambassador who attempted to sell government property. We have an ambassador in Europe, I don't want to mention the country, who picks allowances that is going, because Uganda government is poor. So you appoint one ambassador, they give 10 countries. So he picks allowances that is leaving Canada, going to Sweden and Norway, and then the driver drops him to the airport. Then immediately, the driver comes back with the Ugandan flag to the embassy. Then he leaves the airport, he does not take the flight and comes and sleeps in a lodge. While he has the allowance in the pocket.
Jumps into a taxi.
Yeah, he jumps in a taxi. We even have a cow who removed the whole engine of a local government vehicle, brand new, and put in his. Eventually, even became a member of
Our
parliament.
time is running out. We need to be getting out of here.
Are you sure?
Maybe this is the solution. Colleague Solomon Serwanja decided to run for LC1. And he actually won in a village called Wamutakude.
By 1 vote.
Yeah, he won by 1 vote, but he won. And he says, he tweeted earlier today and said, we have started our 3-day retreat with the Wamutakude LC1 committee members at the Nagalale County House to work on a 5-year strategic plan for the village. And he's appreciative of, and you need to read the comments below this tweet on X, and maybe that's where you need to get. Maybe
but this was where the people who are practicing corruption, it's not because they are less educated. These are highly educated and well-positioned human beings. And the challenge is that we need to do a rethink. We need extraordinary ways like Balaam is trying. And perhaps we may need a serious dictator to come in and
Actually,
in government,
as we conclude, we just need to amend the law and bring back the death sentence. And death sentence should mean actual execution in less than 60 days. So that when people see some of these thieves being executed, they will find it a very risky business. As of now, it is not risky. You can steal money and bribe your way, bribe the police, bribe the judiciary.
You are an advocate, and Honorable Muiro and
No, it should be
myself.
the law.
Yes, but the death sentence is still very much alive.
No, but the actual execution. Who
No,
was the last
it's
execution?
it's still very much alive.
It was Serubi.
It is up to the president now.
Pardon?
The way they are doing it, of course, they can sentence you to death by hanging, but the execution now is what it needs to be followed.
Yeah, people need to be executed.
Because the murder of the children in
Okello.
Okello
Yeah.
was
Even
sentenced
today-
to death.
even today, the
the
one of-
murderers of Susan Magara, 2 of them,
Even
were sentenced to
today.
death.
And
So-
death sentence now means you stay there for 20 years.
No,
or
that's
forever.
life.
the life sentence is actually life.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they should be hanged.
It is usually committed, but Charles,
No, what I'm saying
what
is that
will happen? You said the priest in your place. What did the priest say?
the priest said Balaam should be encouraged to go on, and he said, even come to the church.
Now that is the problem. That the problem is far much bigger if the priest can confess like that to his audience.
I see the problem a little differently. That everybody seems to want to kick the can, and why Balaam is causing all the star he's causing now is because he's acting.
Charles,
He's not kicking that
They say it's a
responsibility.
stunt.
Charles, let me maybe underscore one thing. The effect of corruption, the other time I was speaking about it. Like, for instance, when you look at the road sector, we have 159,561 kilometers in the country. But out of that, it's only 8,800 which is paved, which is tarmacked. 150,000 kilometers is
gravel.
is gravel. But the cost of tarmacking a kilometer now, asphalt 4 millimeter inches is 5 billion. That if you divided, yes, a kilometer, if you divided that 5 billion if you divided the 10 trillion, which we lose annually, by the 5 billion, you'd have 2,000 kilometers stolen every year. If you multiply by the term of 5 years, that would be 10,000.
10,000 kilometers.
And if you multiply by the number of times this have been here, you'd have had like 80,000 kilometers, which is just a
Most of
story
the
like that.
Well, as you say that,
It's
you
just
know,
as simple as that.
you know they just
No, it may not be directly like that because
the president,
even the collection wasn't like that.
the president,
in the earlier times.
the president, the minister for works have told us that why we've been suffering with that bad road, Mitiana Movende, that they've been working on forever, and the deterioration of the section beyond that, especially Kiegegwa to Kienjojo, is because some people have been eating the man, and you know they delay the road, it never gets done, and no one is held accountable. But Mugonero Charles says, can Honorable Balam also pay a visit to Namutumba district because there is too much embezzlement in the service commission of the district, and also in many schools, mainly secondary, government-aided schools. Someone says, Vibes Montana says, don't overwork Balam. He is busy in Pakwach. I have taken that Vibes Montana, and gentlemen, we need to be getting out of here. I need us to circle back as you conclude.
Yes.
Each one of you agree with 30 seconds.
Yes.
So that is 1.5 minutes. Starting with you, Honorable Paul Muiru, on the question of the place of national dialogue in a political context as we end the show.
Well, for me, because given what is taking place, it is just a clear indication that we are almost becoming a failed state. So the earlier we started engaging, the better. The only question would be, now you dialogue with you. Because there seem to be very many power centers within the ruling government. I don't know who exactly is in charge.
Thank you. Dombo.
Politics is about dialoguing. It doesn't require a law, because even if you made the law, even if you went to the structured provisions under the Constitution, every day people must talk to one another. The opposition members prefer talking to each other or across the aisle on issues where there is money and something that will benefit them. But we should go beyond that so that people bring the hearts together and we improve governance in the country and we give hope to the people of Uganda.
The Honorable Dongota.
Raila Odinga won the presidency, but he was made the Prime Minister, Executive Prime Minister of Kenya. I see nothing absolutely wrong with President Museven reaching out to Bobi Wine and making him Prime Minister or Minister of Foreign Affairs, even reaching out to Semuju. Because if you have started running, supposing someone else, maybe Mwozi, becomes the next president, will you be in exile for another 40 years? So you should never close the doors for negotiation, no matter how slim it is. And forgiveness is the art of the strong.
Did you tell us last week that you move with your passport all the time?
Yeah.
Planning to do what?
Should I show you?
No. Why do you keep your passport on you?
It is mine, because it is mine. I have to move with it wherever I want. It is my document.
You told us last week that you told us last
because
week that
this country is not a safe place. So the moment you have political thinkers running out of the country, it's not healthy. So we need a dialogue so that Bobi Wine can come back, continue with his industry. Semuju can come back to his beautiful home he's trying to sell. Living in exile is not easy. Some of us tried. So we should never close the doors for dialogue.